Woohoo! Welcome, everybody. Welcome. This is Merrill Chandler, your host of the Get Fundable universe. And I am here at our weekly update. Now, I got a really important message by the end of today's broadcast. 15 minutes from now, I've got a crazy important message. So please stay to the end so that this announcement is going to make it easier, better, faster for you to be able to join us every single week for these news updates. Now, first thing, we got several topics. They're kind of all over the map, but the main agreement among all lenders right now is that there is a movement, of course, to more online everything, online customer service, not getting rid of branches per se, but as we've announced in earlier episodes, there have been a significant reduction. Nobody's growing new branches. All the big top tier banks are moving towards electronic delivery, electronic customer service. And the first thing we're talking about today is that there is a huge move to do more and more online checking account opening, online credit account opening, everything online. So you don't have to go to the bank even to open up a checking account. Problem is, financial institutions are experiencing unacceptable rates of people who are stalling in the online process because the systems are archaic, or the validations take too long, or it's too much of a pain in the ass. I'm going to make it my language versus the banker's language. It's too difficult to open a checking account online, so people are hanging up, and they're literally they're calling it abandonment during the process. And so do not despair. If you have tried to open up a checking account online and you stopped, you're not alone. But the banks recognize this as one of on their punch list, the things that they want to get done before the end of the year. Every bank that we're talking to, all the research that's being sent to me is pointing in the direction of, because they still do underwriting for checking accounts, personal and business. So they want to automate these underwriting procedures and get rid of all the noise, because these are where they're trying to protect against, banks are trying to protect against fraudulent account openings, money laundering openings, or real borrowers and fake businesses on the business checking account opening side. So there's a lot to protect against, but banks know that nobody wants to come in and sit down with a banker. The last time I've been with Wells Fargo for years and years and years. And I sat in their lobby for 20 minutes before somebody paid attention to me. Nobody has that kind of time. Nobody has that kind of energy. You guys, myself included, none of us want to sit there and talk to our bankers or wait for a banker to talk to them. We want it to be simple, elegant, and effortless, which is the value set of my entire company: simple, elegant, and effortless. That's what we want your account opening to be. So that's one thing that's happening. Now, another thing that's happening, and it's good news, bad news. People are going to take this the wrong way, so I'm going to tell you right now. More and more banks are doing experiments of getting rid of overdraft fees. Now, people are asking, why? That seems to be the deterrent from people doing overdrafts, right? But if you've been to my boot camp, and if you haven't, go to getfundablebootcamp.com. You've got to check this out. But there is a way that customer accounts are evaluated for how much they like you, how much they're going to lend to you, how much they want to spend time with you, by how you this account grading system, right? We call it 1247. Well, these evaluations are determined, and kind of the basis point is how many times you have used either an overdraft, like a check guarantee account, or how many times you've punched through zero and got an NSF fee, a non-sufficient funds fee, or otherwise. Well, they want to get rid of the overdraft fees. Many banks are experimenting with it, but It's part of it is because their internal performance data is highly measured. So they're getting lots of juice to not lend to you if you get an overdraft. So more on this later, but and I'll keep you posted, because the sources that at the lenders that I'm working with are literally just saying, oh, by the way, these are the next steps that we're going through. These are the next levels we're going through. So the end of overdraft fees is on the horizon, but we need to remember that the money is important, but your fundability far outweighs that $25 to $35 you would pay for an overdraft fee. We want to make sure that we stay as far away from zero in our checking account as possible, because that is what lenders are measuring to see if you're fundable, if they want to give you money, if they want to open up a credit card with you, if you want to open up a credit line or a loan with you. All right. Next, speaking of doing mega banks doing right by their customers, and I've seen this myself, as I do. Bank of America is one of my banks, and my relationship with them continues to build. I've had a personal one for 5 years, and now I'm going over to get business credit cards, business lines, business loans. Well, they're publishing everywhere. You'll find it on their website. You'll find it in their the signage in their offices, but they call it Life Plan. Now, it sounds cool, but Life Plan literally is an online app that's available through their app to easily set and track short-term financial goals. Like, I want a car. I want to purchase a house. And then it asks you questions. Would you like to save money? Would you like to transfer some of your money from your checking account over to your savings account, etc.? Now, it also includes, depending on the service that you're part of, it also includes personalized advice. Now, again, they want to be able to sell you a credit card. They want to be able to sell you an auto loan. They want to sell you a mortgage, or personal loans. So many times it's not going to be a neutral third party helping you evaluate your fundability needs and then making recommendations. They do want to sell you instruments, but Bank of America's this Life Plan is the only real attempt out there in the marketplace by the lenders to nurture depositors and turn them into clients. Now, remember, I've told you earlier that I'm working with one of the FICO work groups, and they've asked me to do a case study about what I would do, what borrower education that we have. How would we turn a depositor into a borrower? And so we're working on that, and we'll be done with that and evaluated by the time we go to the next FICO world. But the whole point of this process is that all banks, lenders, are FICO's clients. So they ask FICO, hey, what do you got on borrower education? Or how do we convert depositors to borrowers? They ain't got nothing. And the guy I'm working with used to work at Bank of America, and I'm going to paraphrase, but this is the intent, or this was the sentiment behind his. He said, I helped develop 10 years ago Bank of America's borrower, the transformation process from depositor to borrower. And he goes, it's archaic. It's still the same one. So it's getting tons and tons of praise, but it is nothing compared to the borrower education you're getting just by watching the news updates, just by watching the podcast, just by going to the boot camp. You have 100-fold advantage over any of these other education pieces. And that's why we're committed, even in the software space, to get banks to start using fundability education. That's one of our main pushes, is to grow that. So you heard it here first. Our commitment is to make sure that lenders can easily, simply, elegantly, and effortlessly move depositors to become borrowers and track their fundability through the process that you yourself have experienced in as being part of our tribe. So, but I did want to give the props where props are due. That everybody's raging over this Bank of America life plan, but it really is, so far it's 10% of what you guys are already learning and what we're committed to getting into FICO's hands so they can get it into the lender's hands. So I'm super excited about that. All right, that's it for today. One last thing that I want to cover before I give our big announcement: be on the lookout. If you have, so here's big, huge, Sky put up exclamation points, dozens of exclamation points. You need to be aware that because of the mess that there we go, there's our exclamation points. Listen carefully. Because if you have student loans, even if they've been in moratorium or put on hold, even if they're in deferment, if you have student loans, watch carefully. Make sure that you have a copy of all of your terms, the due date, the amount, the balance, the account number, who holds it. This is important, you guys. You better be careful. And I want you to share this update with all of your friends and family who have student loans. You've got to know this. Many of the smaller holders of these student loans are selling their paper to the big ones, to the Sally Mays and to the other big megalith student loan servicers. They're selling them to them, and this is just a pain in the ass waiting to happen. But they're transferring the entire balance to these new people, to these new servicers, not the previous payment history. And so until the machine gets up and going, if you miss a payment, you could get a 30-day late in the transfer of the student loan servicer from one to the other. So let me just be super clear. Get a copy. Make sure you have date, time, and place of every detail of any of your student loans, the account numbers, the due dates, the balances, everything. Because in this move to send servicing to somebody else, it might be possible for you to go 30 days late because of where you made the payment or somebody didn't ask. Just babysit this process on the phones fastidiously, you guys. Babysit the transfer of this process. So please, if anybody you know has a student loan, please share this, because this could end up hurting a lot of people. And let's go into a little bit of the reason why. The feds said student loan payments, since we're guaranteeing them, student loan payments have a moratorium. It's been almost a year and a half since those payments were not required. Well, little banks and credit unions who were sponsoring these student loans weren't receiving any money off the student loans that they had sold. So it's a pain for them to keep going. So they're selling the paper to others, taking losses and getting out of that student loan marketplace. They're kind of pissed off. And so we've got to be careful. If no one cares about your fundability, guys, no one cares about a 30-day late. They are not looking after you. They are not looking after you. They're not looking for your best interest to be fulfilled. Nothing. So please, just babysit any transfer. You should be getting emails from these different groups saying, hey, we're going to sell your paper, or we're going to they'll likely use the term transfer. So make sure that you babysit that process carefully, so we don't, because a 30-day late is going to kill you for 5 to 7 years, even if it's their fault, and they won't delete it. All right. So finally, the great news, big news. So many people have reached out to us and said, hey, by the way, I love your news updates, but I always watch them towards the end of the day. I can't join you live. I would love to, but I can't join you live. And so there you go. We're moving the date, the time to 3:45 Mountain, from 12:30 to 3:45 Mountain. That's the big update is that next Tuesday we'll be meeting at 3:45 so that more people can join us live instead of just having to watch the news updates in arrears. It just so happens that we're butting up the 3:45 so that our funding hacker tribe can then we can leave the news update and then do a debriefing, right? A post-show takedown of all of it and keep our discussions going. So I'm super excited about that. So all funding hackers, we're literally Tuesday at 4:00 when we meet on Zoom. We're going to be coming off of this event right here, and that'll be the first 5-10 minutes of our discussion. We'll be talking points about the news updates so we can make sure all of you guys are in the know as quickly as possible. This is Merrill Chandler, your guide to the Get Fundable universe, and I will see you next Tuesday at 3:45 Mountain. Peace.